Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the Victory U podcast. We're broadcasting on a new night tonight only for this week. Normally we are on Tuesdays at 8:30, but this week we switched over to join you tonight. And so we're excited about hopping into tonight's episode. We're talking about unbothered, letting go without losing you. Letting go without losing you. And we're really talking about anger. We're really going to talk about anger because, anger is something that is easy to pick up, but it is not as easy to put back down. And most people don't even realize they're carrying it until it starts to affect their walk, their words, even their worship. So today we're going to talk about the real work of letting go, not pretending, not suppressing, but releasing. You don't want to miss this one. Let's go.
Victory.
With faith, reason, and culture collide. Dr. David on the mic, bringing truth with a vibe. Healing in the beat, wisdom in the glow. At the crossroads where your mind breaks through.
This is Victory.
Tune in, level up, let your spirit renew.
Welcome to the Victory podcast, where the culture meets truth.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Victory U podcast. Again, tonight we are talking about anger. Tonight's episode title is Unbothered, Letting Go Without Losing You. So, to kick this off, let's talk a little about anger. What is anger? What is it really? Some of you may not realize this, but anger is really a secondary emotion. It's a signal, but it isn't an identity. So anger being secondary means that it points to something much deeper. Usually when we talk about anger, you are angry based on something that triggered that anger, right? And people will oftentimes like to focus on the fact that you are angry, but not really like to focus on what caused the anger, especially if they were a part of that cause. So, when we talk about anger being secondary, usually it's pointing to something deeper. Could be hurt, could be fear, could be betrayal, could be disappointment, could be abandonment. But here it is. If you only treat the surface emotion, if you only treat the secondary emotion, what happens is that you will never heal the source. So oftentimes when we talk about anger, people will focus on trying to not be angry anymore so that it makes the people around them feel better, right? You ever heard somebody say something like, you're always upset, you're always angry. And when that happens, most times or another, people end up masking the anger so that they don't appear angry. And this is what we end up with, what we call suppressed anger. So it doesn't, letting go of anger, it doesn't start with just, stop being angry or masking your anger. It really starts with, how can I identify what my anger is actually protecting? Because oftentimes when we think about anger and it being a secondary emotion, anger sometimes manifests as an attempt to protect something. So when your heart is hurt and you feel that anger, your anger wants to protect your heart from being hurt again. The issue becomes, though, is that oftentimes in that space, your anger can push people away from you that you actually want to be close to you. A lot of times the reason why that is because there's a misconception about anger and forgiveness. Because many people think that letting go of the anger means letting, the person or the people that have caused the anger off the hook, right? And so sometimes we will hang on to our anger because we want to make sure that the individuals that caused it understand that, look, this was not okay. And if you don't see my anger, if you don't feel my anger, then maybe you won't take what you did as serious. The only issue with that is that sometimes people will move on and not care, and you still walk around with the anger, which unintentionally many times will end up being directed at somebody else. So understand this, and we talked about this in the last episode that we dealt with forgiveness. Remember, forgiveness releases you from the grip of the event, but your anger ties you to the moment. Forgiveness cuts the rope, but it does not erase the memory. I want everybody just to keep this in mind. Forgiveness cuts the rope that ties you to the moment, but it does not erase the memory. It just frees you from carrying the weight. Forgiveness is not weakness, people. And forgiveness does not absolve the guilty person for what they did. That's another misconception. Forgiveness does not mean that the guilty party is absolved from the offense. It just means I'm not letting what you did affect me anymore. Right? I'm not carrying around the wound of what you did anymore. That's what that means. So, anger is a secondary emotion. Anger points typically to something deeper. And oftentimes, when we're angry and we do not deal with that anger, we will mask the anger in an attempt to make the people around us comfortable. This is called suppressed anger, right? I'm pushing it down so that I can behave normally so that the people around me basically are okay, right? And this becomes a problem because you can walk around. See, a lot of times here's another misconception. People think that when a person is angry, that they always appear angry. But anger does not always appear as, right? You can be smiling and laughing and carrying anger. Hey, what's up, cuz? Tiff, thank you for joining the podcast. You can be laughing and smiling and joking and carrying anger because it keeps the people around you comfortable. Because sometimes people are uncomfortable with your reality. Isn't that something? Sometimes, even though you're the one carrying the hurt in the wound, you are still protecting the people around you from having to deal with the reality that you are existing in. So watch this. That suppressed and unreleased anger, if you hold on to it, it will soon become personality. And you start normalizing your tension, right? You start normalizing this. How does that look? How does it look? How does that look in practical life? You become more sharp with your tongue, right? You react quicker. You trust slower. Anybody here have trust issues? You know, when you meet somebody, it's like, you automatically start throwing up the defense mechanism. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It is good to take the time to get to know people. But what happens oftentimes when we have that unreleased and that suppressed anger is that ability to trust never really fully materializes again. And even when you're in a relationship with somebody for a long time, something in the back of your mind is still protecting you from the fear of being hurt again. From the fear of being hurt again. And oftentimes this causes us to live in a lonely and isolated existence in which we want to trust again. We want to love again. We want to have, normal relationships again. But it becomes extremely difficult. How do I get there? How do I learn to trust again when that trust has been broken by the person that I love the most? How do I learn to let the anger go when so much bad has happened? These are questions that many of us wrestle with. And here it is. Tonight, I want to give you 5 steps. I want to give you 5 steps. Now, these steps, let me preface this. That's good, because she said, I'm learning boundaries. Oh, man, boundaries. I love that word, boundaries, right there. I love that word, boundaries, because, a lot of times people in your life, this to me, setting boundaries is a good indicator of the people who are really in a relationship with you. Because if a person is truly in a relationship with you, they will respect your boundaries, because your boundaries are not really about hurting them. It's about protecting your peace. And you can set healthy boundaries and not be angry. I love boundaries. I want to talk tonight, and again, these steps are not exhaustive, but they're 5 steps that are sort of some guidelines that we can use to start walking in the path of letting go of the anger that we hold inside. The first step I want to give you is you want to name the wound, not just the feeling, right? Because a lot of times we can focus on how we feel, but it becomes more difficult to identify what caused the wound that produced the feeling. And let me say this, it is important for you to identify how you feel, right? I'm a very big proponent. And if you don't know, I'm a pastor, believe in Jesus Christ, Christian, and faith and all of that stuff. And I say all that to say this is that sometimes in the church world and in the faith world, we can become so consumed with being spiritual that we forget what it means to be human. And so you can ask, sometimes you can ask church folks stuff like, how are you feeling? And they'll say, well, I'm blessed and highly favored of the Lord. And nothing wrong with that answer per se, but sometimes we're not really being honest, because we're afraid that if we say, you know what, I'm not feeling too good, as if it's doing our faith a disservice, when sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not feeling great right now. And here it is. That doesn't always mean that I need somebody to try to do something about it, because sometimes, in the church world, people start to feel like, well, what can I do to help? Nothing. I'm not asking you for help, right? One of the things that I had to learn early on as a husband is when my wife would say something to me, and as a guy, while she was talking, I was already going into fix it mode. So she's talking and I'm already trying to think how to solve the problem. And then one day she said to me, I don't really want you to solve it. I just want you to listen. And that at the time was a foreign concept to me, because it was my natural default was, if you're bringing me an issue, then you must want me to solve it. So I wasn't doing it to be condescending or anything like that. That was just my default setting. And when she presented that to me, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that you didn't want me to resolve the issue. You just wanted me to listen. Sometimes it's okay. Number one, if you're the one that's releasing how you feel, it's okay to do so. And sometimes it's also okay if you're one that's listening to say, you know what? How can I support you? Not necessarily how can I fix it. Is there a way I can support you in this? And that person might say, you know what? You just listening to me and hearing me is all I needed. Right? When you can name the wound and not just the feeling, you're able to communicate yourself to yourself that you have reached a level of maturity in which you can confront what hurts you, even if you don't have the power to change what hurts you. I need somebody to grab hold of that, because that's strong meat right there. When you're able to name the wound, you have reached a level of maturity in which you are able to confront what hurts you, even if you don't have the power to change what hurts you. Right? Sometimes it's good to, tell the person what they did. You know what? I don't need you to apologize to me. Well, how can I fix it? I don't need you to do anything to fix it. I just want you to know that I know what you did. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm releasing the anger. But I've arrived at the place to where I can confront what hurt me, even if I don't have the power to change what hurt me. And sometimes there's a power in that, in which when you can confront without needing to change, you will find out that you have started to take some of that power back for yourself. Some of the things that were being held over you, you have been, you know what, I've kind of taken that back. Right? So number one, name the wound, not just the feeling. Number two, you want to release the right to revenge. Release the right. And here it is. The reason why we phrase it like this is because you are choosing. This is you are making this choice. You're releasing the right. I could come back at you. But you know what? I'm going to choose not to do that. Not for you, but for my benefit. You know that there are some people who would thrive just on the fact that they know that they hurt you enough for you to clap back. And sometimes it does even more for you to say, no, I'm good. I'm all set. And you know what? I'm not even going to let this take my peace. This goes back to what Cousin Tiff said on TikTok a second ago. You know what? I'm setting me some boundaries now. And I'm not going to let what you did overstep into my boundaries. So that's number two. Release the right to revenge. Number three. I need somebody to really grab hold of number three. Somebody needs to listen to this one right here. Because this is a lot of us, right? This is a lot of us. Stop rehearsing the moment. How many of you, when something happens, you sit back, as soon as you get by yourself, you play it over and over and over and over again, like a broken record. Like a broken record. It just keeps going over and over and over again in your mind. And you can't sleep. You don't have any peace. It's affecting what you do because you keep rehearsing the moment. Hello, Jelly. Welcome to the Victory U podcast. It's hard. It's hard to stop rehearsing the moment. This is number three is probably the most difficult one. Sister Keisha just said it on YouTube. It is. Number 3 is probably the most difficult one. It's hard. Listen, I can do a whole new podcast episode on just how do I stop rehearsing the moment. But the more I ruminate on it, the more the wound stays fresh. This one, number 3, is going to take the probably the longest time and the most work, because you have to practice changing and rewiring the way your brain works. It takes a level of intentionality in which you start to figure out, okay, when these thoughts come up, what are my steps? What am I going to do? You know, one of the things that I like to do personally is I like to just find something immediately that I can focus on, whether it's writing, whether it's reading, whether it's music, whether it's a TV show, you know, something in which I can begin to focus my mind elsewhere. Because rehearsing the moment keeps you stuck in the moment. But if you can get past that, if you can get past the constant replay, that's when you can find peace. So that's number 3. So number 1, these are steps to let go of anger. We're going to name the wound, not just the feeling. Number 2, we're going to release the right to revenge. Number 3, we're going to stop rehearsing the moment. Number 4, now, like I said, you all know I'm a faith-based person. Number 4, and listen, when I say faith-based, I'm not just talking about, you know, you go to a certain church. I don't care what your life story is. I don't care where you're at in life, right? I don't care whether you go to a church or not. I'm talking about your personal relationship with God when I make this next statement. I'm talking about you at home, sitting in the tub, in the shower, laying on your bed. And you don't have to, you know, go into a whole bunch of religious, you know, language and all that kind of stuff. But in your personal life, in your personal relationship, invite God into the anger, not around it, right? And what I mean by that is you're saying, God, listen, I want you to come into this situation with me and help me to work through it. Don't just ask him to take it away. Don't just ask God, I need you to take this away. No, God, this is difficult for me. I'm just asking that you come down and help me work through this, because I don't think I can do this by myself. And here it is, people of God. And I'm calling you all people of God because we're all God's children. When you do that, and again, it doesn't matter. It's not about religion. It's not about what church you go to, don't go to, none of that. It's about you saying, you know what? What kind of relationship can I have with him? And how can he help me through this? I'm telling you right now, just for me personally, when you approach him like that, it's a game changer. And last one, number 5. You want to replace your anger with something else, right? Don't just try to get rid of it. You got to replace it. And what are you going to replace it with? Purpose. So right now, I'm looking at people on TikTok. I'm talking to people on YouTube. I want to ask you a simple question. What is your story? What is your story, and how can you communicate it? Take power of your story. Take power of your life, and know that you can take what you are and who you are, and you can move in purpose. What's stopping you from making your content? What's stopping you from releasing your book or writing your blog or sharing your story? When you replace your anger with purpose and say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? There may be some people that might be upset when you start to talk about your story, but you know what? That's their problem, not yours. Walk in purpose, because when you can see people being healed from what you went through. Imagine that. Imagine your story being so powerful that it can help people be healed when they hear what you went through. Now that's a blessing. So the 5 steps that we went over very quickly tonight, I want you to name the wound, not just the feeling. I want you to replace the right to revenge. I want you to stop rehearsing the moment. That's going to take the most practice. I want you to invite God into the anger, not around it. And then I want you to replace the anger with purpose. So, when all this happened, what does letting go give back to you? Because you want to let go and not lose you, right? That was the whole thing. Unbothered, letting go without losing you. When you can let go of the anger, space opens up in your heart and in your mind for clarity, for creativity, for joy, for emotional availability, right? For the people who really matter. I want to be emotionally available for my wife and my kids. I want to be emotionally available for the people who really count, not for the people who hurt me. That means I got to work through that anger. What caused this? Why am I mad at this? Why does this keep triggering me? People, that's work. That is work. Don't let anybody tell you differently. That's work. Number 2, again, this is on relationship. You can hear God clearer when your heart isn't crowded. And I mean that for everybody that's listening right now. You, yes, you. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what your past is. I don't care how many mistakes you've made. You can have a relationship with God. Matter of fact, he wants to have a relationship with you. And a relationship with God, again, it's not about joining the church. It's not about joining a system of religion. It's about you reaching out to him because he's already reaching out to you. And when you begin to work through that stuff and clear that stuff out of your heart, you can hear him saying, listen, yeah, I know it's been rough, but I'm here with you. I got you. You can love better when bitterness is not blocking the flow. You can love better when bitterness is not blocking the flow. You can move forward when you're not anchored to moments that you did not choose. You didn't ask for it to happen to you. Matter of fact, I wish somebody would just say that, right? I want you to imagine the thing that's hurt you. And I want you to release it by saying these words. I didn't ask for that to happen to me. I didn't ask to be hurt. I didn't ask to be abused. Right? I didn't ask for that to happen to me. I didn't ask to be betrayed. Right? And sometimes people will try to make you think that what happened to you was your fault. I want somebody to say, listen, I didn't ask for it to happen to me, and it was not my fault. See, you know how you can start going back to that 3rd step, how you can start replaying it in your mind? When you start affirming yourself by saying, I didn't ask for it, and I didn't cause it, and it's not my fault. I didn't ask for it. I didn't cause it. Thanks, Romeo. Appreciate you. You have a blessed rest of your night, too. And it's not my fault. Because I can move forward when I'm no longer anchored to the moment that I didn't choose. We don't choose the places we're born, the families we're born into. We don't choose a lot of things in our life, but you know what? We can choose what we do with it. We can choose how we walk forward. Glad to see my sister, Denise, my life journey in the room. Right? Stop being anchored to what happened to you so you can move forward in purpose. So for everybody that's struggling, right? I want to leave you all some encouraging words, because this is all great, right? But I want to pour something into you. For everybody that's like, I hear you, Dr. David. I hear you. This sounds great. I hear you. I've heard stuff like this before. Listen, I want to encourage you, because I don't want you to give up on you. And I want to pour into the you that you are, so that you can become more, right? So the first thing I want to encourage you with is, watch this. Letting go is a process, not a switch. It's not like a light switch. You just, oh, I'm done. No, letting go is a process. So what that means is you have to give yourself grace, right? You got to give yourself, you have to give yourself grace to heal. And even though you might ask yourself the question, why am I still struggling with this? Why am I still dealing with this? You have to give yourself grace to heal, and know that your healing process may take longer than you wanted it to take, but don't give up in the process, because letting go is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. Some wounds are deep. Some wounds are very deep, and some betrayals, they cut close, right? Some things that can happen to you, boy, it can change your whole world. Watch this. God sees all of it. And God isn't asking you to pretend that you're okay, right? Like that's again, that sometimes when people go to church, right, they want you to kind of like just dress up and pretend like everything's okay and everything's all right. And again, I'm blessed and highly favored. Sometimes we got to take the pretend clothes off. Sometimes we got to take the pretend clothes off, because we don't have to pretend that we're okay. And since I don't have to pretend that I'm okay, I can actually be honest with him about what's breaking me. It's okay. You have permission to, when you approach God in your prayer, in your private time, tell him, God, I am mad, right? You're not going to be struck down. Matter of fact, he's probably waiting for you to say it. God, I am mad. God, I've been carrying this anger. God, I'm upset. God, I don't understand why this had to happen in my life. God, I don't understand why these events took place. God, I don't understand why. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. Because you don't have to pretend. And you don't have to pretend for the people around you, so that the people around you feel better. If you're not okay, you're not okay. But guess what? Give yourself grace, because your healing is not a weakness. One of the things I found out after having the surgery on my foot this past May is that it actually takes strength to heal. It takes strength to heal. I mean, that's crazy. It's not a weakness. It takes strength to heal. Your release is not a defeat. Your peace is not a betrayal of your past, but it is a promise for your future. Right? You're going somewhere. I wish somebody can just say to themselves tonight, before we get off this podcast, I want you to speak to yourself and just say, I'm going to be okay. May not feel like it right now. And we're not saying it flippantly. Situation might not change, but I just want you to say it to yourself. I'm going to be okay. You might have fear and anxiety right now. You might have depression overwhelming you right now. You might feel like you can't go on anymore right now. I'm asking you to say it with me. I'm going to be okay. Sometimes grief and anxiety and depression comes in waves. Seems that as soon as you're better, you're thinking, okay, it's passing. It comes back like a huge wave, like it's going to overwhelm you. And you feel like, I can't take any more of this. But I want somebody to say one more time, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it through this, no matter how long it takes, because I don't have to prove anything to anyone else. I don't have to get better on a fast timeline for anybody else so that other people feel good. No, I'm going to walk in this healing. I'm going to walk this out every single day of my life, and I am going to be okay. So today, I'm praying that this is the day that you breathe deeper. I'm praying that this is the day that you walk lighter and see clearer. I'm praying that this is the day that something in you changed, that something in you shifted, that something in you not broke for the worse, but for the better. Because you made it almost to the end of this year, and for some of you, this was a rough one. But can I just encourage you right here and right now? If you're listening to my side of my voice, I just want to tell you 3 words. You made it. And then I'm going to give you 3 more words. You're still here. And then I'm going to give you 3 more words. It's not over. It's not over. You made it. You're still here. And you are going to be okay. I would like to, I don't normally do this on the podcast, but if you don't mind, if you allow me to, before you log off, before you run out of the room, can I just say a word of prayer for you? I pray that God touches your life in a way that is so unexpected that it blesses everything that is associated with you. I pray that the pain that you've been carrying begins to subside. I pray that the you that you are comes to the forefront, and everything that you have to offer, your light, your love, God's glory radiating in and through you. This is the season and the time for you to walk in your purpose. I pray that you give yourself the grace to heal. I pray that you give yourself the grace to go forward and not just forgive those that hurt you, but forgive you for all of the mistakes that you have made and the decisions that you regret, that you're no longer going to ruminate on and replay in your mind. But today I pray that this is the moment where you take that one step forward into truly being free. And I believe, and I'm excited about your future. Listen, God bless you, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Victory U podcast. Unbothered, letting go without losing you. As a matter of fact, not only are you not going to lose you, but you're going to find you. and you're going to walk in everything that God called you to be. God bless you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, Tuesday at 8:30. Before we go, I have a very special announcement. I released today on social media that on December 27th, we are releasing our new book, Cultural Apologetics, Living at the Crossroads of Faith, Reason, and Culture. We're releasing it right on my birthday, December 27th. And you're going to hear so much more because I'm going to be talking about this all the way up too. So get ready, everybody. We are going forward. There's so much that I'm excited about what God's going to do. And I thank you, each and every one of you, for joining me on this journey, the Victory U podcast.
Victory U.
With faith, reason, and culture collide.
God bless you in Jesus' name.
Thank you for listening to the Victory U podcast. Join us every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube and TikTok Live. Each episode drops the next day on all major podcast platforms, so you never miss a moment. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment in the chat. We would love to hear from you.